Hello everyone, and welcome back to another fan-made Elite Specialization video, a video series that I've been doing before the third expansion for Guild Wars 2 comes out. I momentarily stopped doing this. I don't know if I just got a little bit burnt out, because some of these videos have been quite a bit of work, and so on and so forth. But welcome back. I'm excited to be restarting the series and finishing it in the second half of all this. And today we're going to be continuing and finishing off the medium armor. So welcome. The subjects I will be covering include weapon types and skills, utility skills that I've made, profession mechanics and changes, and then I'll finally end with me talking about a minor trait and some major trait ideas. Of course, be sure to go check out my other Elite Specialization videos that I've made for in preparation for fun. I'll eventually make a full playlist once I've finished. But let's begin and talk about the engineer elite specialization I've made, titled the Constructor. The Constructor. Now, I gotta say, beforehand, I actually have gone back and fully redone the utility skills and traits for this fan-made elite specialization. I had finished these like months ago, and then I looked back at them and I said, these are trash. Let me fix it. Let me take the trash out and let's put a new garbage bag in here. So it's been remodeled, readjusted, retailored to something a bit more interesting for a potential elite spec. So with this said, the Constructor is an elite spec I've made for the engineer that is focused on ranged abilities, utility, and more possibly different ways of affecting allies and enemies alike. I kind of wanted to push the mold for an engineer. I wanted to use the engineer as a profession that builds onto something else, that builds into a new niche, that invents and engineers something else. So with this, the weapons are a little bit unconventional, but this elite spec is really me having just a lot of fun. So let's start with the weapon skills. We'll go into the profession mechanic, then utilities, and then of course traits. Alright, so for the Constructor, the weapons used or usable by the Constructor are main hand Warhorn and offhand focus. I know, main hand Warhorn. I don't think anybody had ever really wanted a main hand Warhorn, but you know what? Weapons are just methods of using skills and implementing skills. So, here's your one. Oh my god. The first ability is Sonar Channel. Channel a sound wave at your target, dealing damage over its duration. This is similar to the Air Scepter auto attack, the Chain Lightning. So it'll do damage over a duration, the cast time, and then once the channel successfully ends, it'll flip over to Sonic Shake. Compress your target in sonic pressure, dealing damage and applying vulnerability. This is just an extra skill for the auto attack to spruce up and give a bit more pizzazz to the actual Warhorn. And also the auto attack to maybe apply slight vulnerability. The second skill is Construct Oil Slick. You phase an oil slick through your Warhorn, creating a line of oil to slow foes and cripple them. So this skill doesn't do any damage on its initial cast. It will just debilitate them with slow and cripple. 900 range, and then a line AoE. This skill will flip over into Construct Flaming Oil Surprise. You will ignite your oil slick with searing flames, damaging enemies and burning them. This is where you negate and forego that slow and cripple for some more damage and burning. They last 3 seconds each, and radius of 900, so on and so forth. It's kind of you know, you set up the oil and then you explode it. So pretty logical. Next is the third ability for the Warhorn, Magitek Augmentation. You blast a wave of augmenting Magitek around you, reducing the cooldown of allies' skills and providing them with a damage boost on their next attack. You will reduce 10 allies around you one of their skills on for 2 seconds. This seems kind of vague in terms of it affects all their skills, but it'll, to clarify, would only affect really one skill that is currently going on its cooldown. If it affected all of their skills, that'd be a little overpowered. But they do get the effect of doing 5% extra damage on their next attack. Now for the focus. We have focused analysis. You use your focus to reveal an enemy's weak spots. The enemy gains the analyzed effect, increasing damage against them for duration and applying weakness to them. So for 4 seconds, this is a debuff that is separate from vulnerability, anything else. But this in and of itself does not stack with other abilities or with other focused analysis. It's kind of just a one-time effect. 10% increased damage to the foe for 4 seconds. And then the target will also be afflicted with weakness for 2.5 seconds. The final skill for the focus is Concentrated Assistance. You provide aid to a select few allies in need of dire aid, heal them with emergency healing supplies, and protect them with boons. So 2 allies, 2 lowest health allies in the area will be healed for a pretty modest amount of 2,500 and granted protection and vigor. Now that we have the weapons complete, let's move on to the profession mechanic. This is where a consistent theme starts to form up. The profession mechanic is the F5 ability, staying in line with the other elite specializations, taking away the F5 skill and using a different ability like the Scrapper and the Hollowsmith. So for this, it is Magitek Mania. You build a construct which will shoot out either Malefic Concoction or Magitek Concoction randomly. So this will spawn, and then over its 2-second lifespan, it'll start, you know, shooting them out like a randomized, similar to the Weaver Water Earth combo skill, where you'll either randomly shoot out a rock spike or an ice spike and dealing chill or bleeding randomly. But for the Malefic Concoction, it will do damage and burning to any foe that walks onto it and breaks it. The Magitek Concoction will do some healing and restore 10 endurance to the ally who picks it up. This will just shoot out 3 random concoctions over its 2 lifespan with a 20-second cooldown. So that was the F5 skill. Traits might affect it later on, of course. Next, we'll be going into the Constructor's utility skills. Now for the utility skills, I was like, what do I want to give Engineer? Because Engineer originally started out not having any shared utility types, but then they eventually got Wells. So I was like, and this is kind of Magitek inspired. It's slight magic, but also with the Engineer's ingenuity. And also this was modeled heavily after Asuran, Gallimancy, and all that stuff. Hint, hint, wink, wink. So I've gone with mantras. The healing is Mantra of Foundation. You will prepare a mantra, healing you when the channel and charge up completes. And then you can expend charges of this mantra to heal the lowest health ally in the area and yourself. This has 4 charges and no cooldown on the charges, so you can kind of spam it. It doesn't have a recharge time, but I'd say the recharge time could be like, the healing's pretty low, so recharge time could be like 10-15 seconds in a 600 radius. The healing skill doesn't have any construct. The other skills do. So that's where the healing skill kind of differentiates. Next, for the actual utility skills, we have Mantra of Materialization. You prepare a mantra, giving yourself vigor upon completion. That's kind of like the first effect, and of course, I'm smashing all this into one tooltip as to not have to create 4 separate tooltips, which mantras typically have multiple tooltips to kind of explain what they do. So that's the first part. But when you use this mantra, you will materialize a Magitek pylon, which after a few seconds will pulse, converting conditions on allies and granting them Aegis. Aegis lasts longer with more conditions cleansed. So this thing will pop up. It says convert, and it kind of converts it, just specifically into Aegis. For consistency, I probably should have just like put cleansed, but you'll cleanse 3 conditions in a small radius of 180, granting 2 seconds of Aegis, and then if you successfully cleanse 3 conditions on an ally, this skill would grant Aegis for 5 seconds instead of just 2. And it would vary. If you had like 2 conditions cleansed, the Aegis would be 4 seconds, and so on and so forth. 3 charges, recharge on 12 seconds, and you can use this ability every 7 seconds. Next mantra is Mantra of Circuiting. You prepare a mantra, increasing your healing power for a short duration, a static 250. And then you use this mantra to place a Magitek Medic, which tethers itself to allies, funneling barrier to them. You can select and target this Magitek Medic, and if it is healed to full health, the construct will overcharge, pumping barrier every half of a second instead of every second. So ultimately, this thing will just kind of pop up and then, you know, start pulsing barrier to 5 allies. If either you or an ally were to, say, hypothetically, heal it up, this would start pulsing barrier much faster, but still last just as long. So you'd want to kind of heal it up on the first go in order to get the most out of it. Radius of 240 and 3 charges, which will recharge every 15 seconds. And you can spam these pretty quickly because it's only a 3-second cooldown in between the actual casts. Next is the Mantra of Exchange. You prepare a mantra recharging your tool belt skills by a fixed amount. I didn't actually put this on the tooltip, but I edited in 4-second recharge. My God, I gotta love motorcycles, don't I? Next, for the actual effect, you will send out a ray of Magitek towards a target, transferring conditions to them. You can only send conditions at the cost of boons. Each boon used will send over 1 condition, and this is your stun break skill. And I actually lied, this one doesn't have any construct either. This is just like a flat damage and transfer. So it doesn't damage, and then it will possibly remove 4 conditions, so long as you can give up 4 boons. So if you only have 1 boon, you'll give up 1 condition. If you have 2 boons, you'll give up 2 conditions. 3 boons, 3 conditions, and 4 boons, you'll send over 4 conditions. So I didn't want to just have like a Condi cleanse, because boon uptime can often become very detrimental to Guild Wars 2 at times, especially in PvE. So I wanted this cost effect, hence its name, Mantra of Exchange. But some damage, 900 range of the actual ray, and then recharges every 23 seconds, but you could use it every 8 seconds. It's a stun break, so I wanted to give it a little bit of a longer recharge. And then the final utility is Mantra of Malpractice. You prepare a mantra granting you 5 stacks of might. You use this mantra to place a Magitek Pustule, which explodes, dealing damage and applying conditions. This thing will take like a second to inflate and then explode. It's a pretty, in concept, it's just like kind of like a bomb. But you summon the construct. It's a tangible thing that people can see and react to. It does 860 flat damage. It will do 4 seconds of poison and 2 seconds of slow. It will only affect 3 enemies, not 5. I do think it's kind of nice when skills don't always affect 5 or 10 targets. So, have it vary. Go to 3. I don't know. Go to like 8 or 6 targets, something like that. Something weird. I don't know. Pretty small, 180 radius, and it has 2 charges. but you can use these back to back if you'd like. These mantras have been designed to be kind of like Mesmer mantras, where you can use them pretty quickly and then cast them pretty quickly. Not like Firebrand, where a soldier is like trying to really methodically play out their mantra usage. It's pretty, like, not brain dead, but you can use it pretty quickly. And then for my elite that I've created mantra of the Constructor. No cooldown, so you can just spam all the mantra charges if you want. So the first effect, you prepare a mantra and you grant protection, and you drop a Magitek concoction by your side. 3 seconds of self-protection, and the Magitek concoction is the same as it was described in the Professional Mechanic. Lasts 12 seconds, does the healing, and does endurance generation. Old news. But the actual effect of the mantra, you'll pulse your Magitek in an area, and you will reconstruct down allies, reviving them for a percentage. Successfully reviving an ally with this skill will construct a Magitek Triage, which pulses protection to allies for a duration. So this skill might be a little bit difficult, but if you look at the tooltips, and it's placed in the order of how things go. So you'll revive players in an area, 3 players, 20% of their downed health. So if you spam this twice, you can revive someone up to 40% of their missing downed health. So you want to use this pretty quickly when teammates go down, or wait for yourself or someone else to res them up pretty close to the 20%. Use this to hopefully resurrect them. If you resurrect them, a Magitek Triage will build itself up, and then over 8 seconds will pulse protection, which lasts for 3 seconds. The Magitek Triage itself affects 5 allies. The resurrect, only 3. So in the like pristine and optimal condition, you could get 3 Magitek Triages up, ultimately affecting 15 allies with protection. The triage radius is slightly reduced, though. It's 240, not the 300. Just take a look at the tooltip, read it through. This is the one that I really had to remaster. I mean, I remastered all the utility skills to use the construct idea. Originally, it was very boring. I literally had a mantra that was just charge a mantra and then use it to do 20% increased healing for 5 seconds, and that's all it did. And I was like, that's boring. So let me actually let me model it after Asurans and their ideas and methods of engineers and Gallimancy. It's kind of like a pseudo-Gallimancy without actually being a Gallimancer. But these were the utilities. Let me talk about the traits. I only have 1 minor, as opposed to the other ones, but I do have 3 grandmasters. So let's dig in. For the minor, a sample for a minor with this fan-made elite spec, we have Constructor's Mentality. Your healing power and concentration is increased, but your vitality and toughness is reduced. This is playing into the, slightly more supportive aspect of the engineer, but there are ways you can get the vitality and toughness back within the grandmasters and your selections. So let's move on to the first adept. Once again, with this series of the Cantha elite specs, I want them to be pretty tamed and not as riddled with so many effects like the Path of Fire elite specs. So for the adept sample, I have mass circuiting. Your barrier you apply is stronger, 12%. Your mantra of circuiting now affects 2 additional allies, bringing the total up from 5 allies can be affected to 7. This is one of your utility skills. But your barrier application is universal. My sample for the master is concoctions of shielding. Your Magitek concoctions now will apply barrier instead of healing. I did kind of mess this up because I had changed the functionality of the F5. I originally was just going to have the F5 be a Magitek concoction, which you throw down, but I was like, you already have elixirs. So the second one I've tried to edit to make sense. You now have an additional charge of concoctions which can be shot out from your Magitek Mania construct from your F5. So you will have a total of 4 concoctions which can be shot out from the F5 ability, to give you a slight extra chance of getting maybe a desired concoction that you want. The barrier is a bit stronger because it's a bit more preemptive. It requires maybe slight strategy, like if you're in a dungeon or a raid, you want to wait and then go for it. But yeah, the first Grandmaster out of the 3 I've made, this first one is called Vital Minds. Gain increased vitality. This is where you can regain that lost vitality. While at max endurance, periodically pulse endurance to allies around you. So this incentivizes the engineer or the constructor to not use their dodge skill and to take on a supportive role that emphasizes players' defense in terms of dodging. Would be really great for a Daredevil, Mirage, or any other like Canthan elite specialization that will change the way dodge works. And hey, for Guardians and Warriors actually get skills from their dodges as well, depending on their builds. So you'll be pulsing 15 endurance to allies around you every 5 seconds, 5 targets, and a 300 radius. The next Grandmaster is, I really like this one. I was trying to make it kind of cute, the name. It's Constructor's Best Friend. Mantras gain an additional charge. This is just baseline. And I think this is pretty strong for mantras. Constructing any Magitek construct will grant you stability and resistance. This will affect your F5, your first, your second, your fourth, and your elite skills. So anything with a physical manifestation in the world for this elite spec, this trait will trigger, granting you 2 stability and 2 resistance. I did forget to put a cooldown on this, but I think I would have a cooldown of like 4 seconds, just so that you just can't keep spamming up stability and resistance all the time. So this trait would have like a 4-second cooldown, just to leave the constructor vulnerable for 2 seconds, if at all possible, for balance reasons, you know. And the final Grandmaster I've made is Devious Planner. Gain increased toughness. So this is the trait where if you want the toughness, go for this one. If you want the vitality, go for Vital Minds. But what this trait does is critically hitting a foe will grant you the Devious Planner effect. Successfully critically striking again will slow your target. Slow now deals power damage over time. Okay, so 3 things. The toughness is kind of just like a, you know, it's understandable. You get the toughness back. The Devious Planner, it's similar to how other MMOs would have it, where similar to like a Fire Mage, where you'll get a crit, and then if you crit again, you get a special effect. With this, if you crit, you'll get this effect. You crit again, your next attack will slow, and that crit strike will slow. And now, universally, any slow you applies will do damage. So it'll scale off of power instead of condition damage, just to add a little something else. This isn't supposed to be a condition spec, and I think that with chill, like with Reaper, I think it'd be awesome if they had the Deathly Chill trait be changed to chill does damage, but the damage itself is flat power damage, not condition damage. So that's basically it, everybody. That was Devious Planner, Vital Minds, and Constructor's Best Friend for my elite skills and my entire elite specialization as a whole. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like the video if you liked it. Comment down below what you would love to see in an engineer elite specialization for Cantha expansion 3. I'm not a huge engineer player, so I just wanted to kind of have fun and, you know, be a bit more Asuran. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe for more Guild Wars 2 videos. Like if you looked at come to below, of course. All my links are down below. My Twitch, Twitter, Discord, Patreon. You get early access on Patreon and some special chances of recommending videos, so on and so forth, seeing if you want me to make something for you. So go check out my Patreon or my PayPal if you'd like to help with any donations or tips. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye, everyone. Mwah.